Even if you're not the biggest fan of George Condo, or even if you don't really know who he is, I guarantee you've seen some of his work. Just think about Kanye West and the album cover of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. But let's really try not to limit him to his collaborative efforts when he's one of the top performing contemporary artists of our time period. His name justifiably sits next to people like Jeff Koons, Takashi Murakami, and Andy Warhol. Beyond his work realizing the ideas of blending Picasso's cubism, abstractions, and figurative works into one conglomerate has held such a high position in the primary and secondary market over the last years. Just a few months ago, Condo's Anapodal Reunion estimated at $986,000 and sold for $1.3 million US, which was the highest price ever reached by a painting in an online sale. There are a few opportunities out there for you and I to invest in some of George Condo's pieces. There's one that just dropped on Masterworks, which is almost sold out, and there's another one dropping in the future on OTIS that I don't have much information on. So today we're going to focus on the one on Masterworks. Let's get right to it. What's going on, y'all? This is Frame. I'm Moriah Alise, and I am back again, keeping it consistent with you guys to talk about all things art. Now this week, or this video, is a little bit different. Usually when I do an art market analysis, I'm talking about that artist, I dive into their history, I dive into their perception and all of those things. But today we're focusing on one artist and one piece and what our opportunities are to invest as investors into that piece and buy shares of a specific painting. So we're not going to really dive into like the background of the artist, but what we're really going to do is talk about if it's a good opportunity for you and I to invest or buy shares in this piece. I want to thank you all so much, those of you guys who have subscribed. It continues to encourage me that someone out there finds all the things that I nerd over every single day exciting. Guys, if you're one of those people who have not subscribed but you vibe, please do so. Click that little red button down there so we can continue our journey together. Now, I also want to point out that most of the time I'm talking about contemporary artists. And the reason that I choose to do that is because I want to really give some inspiration and some encouragement to those young artists and some of those emerging artists out there who feel like there's no blueprint and there's no guidance, there's no step-by-step of what to do. Truly, all you have to do is really study the masters. Study these contemporary artists. They're making contemporary artists a thing. They're wealthy contemporary artists and they're doing so well. And I want you guys to look at what they're doing. That's why I'm digging deep into their career, looking at what they've done step by step, and then going into their art market. We need to understand this on all spectrums, not just the cultural aspect, not just from a curation standpoint. We need to really dig deep into the art market, understand it from a monetary standpoint so we get it from all levels. Now today what I'm going to focus on is George Condo in one piece that has dropped on Masterworks. As you guys know, if you watched my previous video, Masterworks allow us to buy shares in paintings, which is really exciting because we don't have all the millions of dollars, or I do not have all of the millions of dollars to buy a physical piece. So what I do is I buy shares of art pieces and I allow that to become a part of my collector's portfolio. Now, so what Masterworks is going to do is attempt to sell this painting in about 5 to 7 years, and whatever I have invested in that painting, if it appreciates in value, I will get my return. That's what I want you guys to be able to do. So today we're focusing on one piece that has dropped on Masterworks by George Condo. Now this piece in particular is titled Staring into Space, and it was created in 2014. It was acquired on the primary market in a private negotiation for $1.6 million, and Masterworks is going to offer 88,000 shares to us for $20 a share. Now before you get too excited, there is a minimum purchase, which is why it's always good to read the offering circle, which goes into immense detail about the purchase and terms. The minimum purchase is 500 shares at $20 a share, which will have us in $10,000 deep to be able to invest in this painting. Don't get discouraged so fast. This is just one drop. Some of their drops allow you to invest for a minimum of $1,000, but there are other platforms out there that allow you to invest for as little as $25 a share. There's another George Condo piece that's dropping in the near future that you guys will get a video about that's going to allow you to invest in that piece for much lower than $1,000 per share. So stick around for that in the future. Now, this piece was appraised for $1.9 million. So investors are hoping for it to sell at that price or of course above. Now, an interesting fact is Masterworks just launched a beta for secondary market trading. And what that is trading in between investors. So what I'm really curious to see, because 1.9 million is not much above what they're offering to us for. So I'm really curious to see if investors are going to be selling their shares for insane prices that just don't make sense. All right, y'all, so here is my spreadsheet. This is not an actual spreadsheet of my actual investments. All this is a mock-up spreadsheet of the formulas that I use to come up with the assessment of whether I'm going to invest in a piece or not. And I have put in the George Condo piece right here that's highlighted in yellow to see if it's worth the investment. Now, it's really important to know that Masterworks purchased this piece at $1.6 million and they're offering it to us at $1,760,000. They're offering 89,000 shares in total, and we have to buy a minimum of 500 at $20 per share. That puts us in $10,000 deep with an expected value when it sells at $21.35 per share. Now, that's only if the piece sells for the appraised value of $1.9 million. All right, now I know this doesn't sound like a big jump from $20 to $21.35, which is my guess at why you have to buy so many shares for this piece in particular. Now, it's really important to know that you do not have to do that for every piece. You don't have to buy $10,000 worth of shares for every piece. That's this piece in particular. Now, with all of that being said, that would leave us with a profit of $674.16. But what I really like to do is play with the numbers a little bit and see if we invested the maximum, and let's see how our numbers would change. So if we invested $100,000 and bought 5,000 shares, then we would be profiting $6,741.57. Now, if we wanted to be one of those people and ask why we can invest 50 shares at $1,000, then we're going to know why. If we buy 50 shares at $20 a share, leaving us with an equity of $1,000, then we're only going to profit $67.42 from that investment if it sells for its appraised value at $1.9 million. Masterworks considers George Condo a Class B artist, meaning he's a moderate risk. So they separate their terms into high risk, moderate risk, and low risk. Okay, so that's going to be an A-class artist, a B-class artist, and a C-class artist. He falls right in the middle at moderate risk, being a B-class artist. Now, it's really important to know that this is not the only place that you can buy shares of work. If $1,000 is way too much for you guys to invest in a piece, or even $10,000 goes way above your head like it does mine, then there are other applications out there that allow you to invest for much less. And one in particular that I love to use is an app called OTIS. That's OTIS. In my next few videos, you guys are going to notice that I'll be talking about the drops that are happening over time. There's a Daniel Arsham that's dropping. There's a Kaws that's dropping. And then there's another George Condo that's dropping. The Kaws is dropping on Masterworks, but I believe the minimum buy-in is $1,000. There's a George Condo dropping on OTIS, as well as a Daniel Arsham dropping on OTIS. And we'll be evaluating each of those pieces. Guys, if you really are interested in this spreadsheet and you want to know how to build it out, please let me know and I will find a way to get that to you guys. Now, I really want to thank you guys for joining me today, watching this video, and believing in my content. Guys, if you vibe, what's the word? Subscribe. This is Frame. I'm Moriah Alise.